y'all, welcome back to my channel. You are watching Shelly Flowers Reads and Writes, and I am Michelle Flores, where I talk about all things related to reading and writing. Oops. Oh, today's video is going to be the community booktuber tag. So I was tagged in this by Books and B.S. So big shout out to her. If you haven't started watching her channel, I highly recommend that you do. And I also want to say, like, this week has been extremely emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even physically draining for me. If you've been living under a rock, essentially, we are in the midst of a new wave of a civil rights movement, and it is something that I have been a part of for the past 8 years on and off, but to see it grow to the level that it is right now is incredibly inspiring. One, I want to give a big shout out to my city, Jacksonville, Florida. Yesterday we had 10,000 people present at a peaceful protest, and reports right now are saying this is the largest peaceful protest, the largest protest, I believe, for civil rights in the entire city's history. So considering, 50 years ago we had an event known as Axe Handle Sunday, where peaceful protesters were basically beaten for protesting for their rights to exist. It's taking time, but things are happening so differently now than I've ever seen before, and I'm just so excited about it. So with that, I want to jump into something a little bit more lighthearted. That being said, though, I have plenty of links, petitions, and resources you can find down below to get involved, to take action, to reflect, to learn about everything that's going on in our country right now. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the tag. First question, my name. I already answered that. I'm Michelle Flores. Next question, where are you from? I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but I currently live in Jacksonville, Florida. Pets. I do have a pet. I have one dog. Her name's Roxy. I'll see if I can load a picture here. She's adorable. She's like 10 years old. Pit bull. Amazing. Great with my kids. So I love pit bulls. The most binge-worthy next Netflix show. It's so funny that this question comes up because yesterday I binged the entire 5th season of Queer Eye. I love that show. It brings me so much peace and joy when I watch that show. Every time Karamo does his therapy sessions, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had him as a therapist in real life, which makes sense because he's a trained social worker, so he knows what he's doing. Next is an Insta-buy author. And of course, y'all know what I'm gonna say, Elizabeth Acevedo. I own every single one of her books, including her chapbook. And I own The Poet X on audiobook, but I am purchasing it in hardcover because I want to read it just to see what the differences are between the audiobook and the physical copy. She's also an author, I will say, who I recommend to buy the audiobooks as well, because I think they are just as good quality as her physical books. A lot of times with audiobooks, depending on the narrator that they pick, they're not that great. But with Elizabeth Acevedo, because she has a background in slam poetry, she knows how to emote, she knows how to emphasize things, she knows how to use her voice as an extra tool. So I think it honestly just enhances your reading experience. Okay, the next question is hobbies besides books. And I honestly don't have that many hobbies because I'm a mom and I work full time, but one thing I love to do is write. So this is also an AuthorTube channel and I write all the time. This week that has not been happening, but I am feeling refreshed. I slept for 9 hours yesterday, which never happens. So I'm hoping that I can get back on my writing track and work on that novel that I've been talking about. Okay, next up is a random fact that most people don't know, and here's a random fact. I share a birthday with both Annie Oakley and Fidel Castro, so there's that. I'm also Cuban American, so that's kind of funny. Favorite bookish nerdy swag. Oh buddy, Just you wait. I got a whole pile of stuff I'm about to show you. Oh, first up we have this amazing Hogwarts blanket. It's kind of like a cohiba. This sort of like felty blankets that a lot of Caribbean and Latinx households have. But I love this blanket. My mom bought it for me when I was 19. It was for my 19th birthday, and it has stayed with me ever since. There are some holes in it because my dog, she likes to bite things. She likes to chew on stuff. So we've had to make sure that she doesn't have access to it. But honestly, I love this thing. I could not live without it. Next up, we have this Hogwarts blazer. This is a Gryffindor blazer because I am a Gryffindor, and I do plan on doing the Gryffindor book tag probably next week. But I love this thing. It is so beautiful. My best friend bought this for me when we took our 30th birthday trip to take a Harry Potter tour of the UK. That is also a video that I'm gonna do because I was obsessed with that trip. It was so fun, so ridiculous. So yeah. All right, next up we have my wands. These are 2 official wands that I bought at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Universal Studios Orlando. So this first wand belonged to Professor McGonagall. Professor McGonagall is honestly teacher goals for me. I just think she's everything in an educator that I would love to be. She so clearly cares about her students, but she also doesn't take no shit. So that's the kind of life I'm trying to live. And then here, I can't really take this out. Let me see if I can. There we go. Okay. Here we have Luna Lovegood's wand. I think this might be her second wand actually, but I don't know. I like that it looks like a tulip. Tulips are my favorite flowers, and I think honestly, also sorry if you hear noise in the background, my window's open and it's raining, but honestly I think Luna is the character that I'm similar to. Like I'm definitely a weirdo. I'm like a combination of Luna and Hermione, so that's why I picked her wand. I just think it's really pretty. Next up, we have this platform 9 3/4 necklace. This I got from my work sister, basically. She is someone that I met through work, but we have so many things in common. And she very sweetly bought this for me for my birthday a couple years ago. So I'm really thankful for that. Then, of course, we have this mug, which I've been drinking my coffee out of this morning. I love this thing. My husband bought it for me for Mother's Day a couple years ago. And it's so big, it feels so much. This is café con leche, so espresso with milk, and my husband adds a dash of vanilla to it, which is just like amazing. Seriously, like I don't need a barista because I got my husband. So y'all, so last thing is this Harry Potter Gryffindor cardigan. I love this thing. I wear it for teaching a lot. I tend to wear a lot of dresses with work, and so this cardigan goes well with a lot of stuff that I own. It's gray, which is kind of a neutral, and then this little fun piece here. A lot of my students, especially this year, love it. They always talk to me about Harry Potter, and I've gotten a lot of cute little trinkets from them over the years. All right, so the next question is one book or series that you love but no one talks about. So I'm going to talk about 2 here. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 books and series here. The first one is the series that I loved as a kid, which is called Animorphs. It's super weird sci-fi series. Parts of it were ghost written, but it was essentially about, similar to the new Power Rangers movie that came out a couple years ago. It's about 5 kids who stumble onto a construction site and then find an alien who gives them powers to turn into other animals and creatures. That series was my shit, and I won't get too much into detail about that here, but being a religious person who loved sci-fi and fantasy growing up, that was hard, and there were definitely times where I was not encouraged to read those kinds of books. So that's a series that I will defend till the day I die. The other book that I want to talk about, because I finished it earlier this week, was this book right here, Intergalactic Travels by Alen Pelaez Lopez. They are a non-binary Afro-Indigenous poet hailing from Oaxaca, Mexico. They were undocumented for quite a few years because they crossed the border when they were 5 years old, but eventually they were able to get papers. And so it's such an interesting book because they talk so much about this idea of belonging somewhere, whether it's to your own body or to a culture. You know, the fact that Mexico did not acknowledge that it had people of African descent within the country until the past like 5 years. So that means for hundreds of years, Afro-Mexican people were not acknowledged for their ethnicity, but indigenous people were. You see what I'm saying? And so someone who is Afro-Indigenous, it was a very complicated sense of identity. And then crossing over to the US, in the US, we're taught that like Black people really only exist in America. That's definitely changing now, but I remember that as well growing up. I didn't realize that like Black people existed in other countries because of the way we are taught about race in the US. We're taught with a very America-centric view on race. And so they are seeking to dismantle these ideas of race, of ethnicity, and that comes through so clearly in their work. I would definitely say if you are someone who likes poetry, but also likes mixed media, this is a really great book for you. And I want to show some examples. So like, you'll see art installations like this, No Papers, No Fear. You'll see, you know, art installations like that. But then you also see, you know, these sort of like these text message bubbles in the book, which I think is really powerful. And then you see stuff like this, which is like immigration paperwork. And they literally take you through step by step the process that they went through to become a documented immigrant, because I don't think they're a citizen if they choose to be a citizen. I don't think that they're a citizen yet. And I just found the whole book to be really fascinating. So highly recommend. I gave that book 5 stars, and I will talk about it when I do my June wrap up, but highly recommend that book. So the next question is your favorite new booktubers. I don't necessarily know who's new and who's not new, because I myself am pretty new. My channel is only like 2 months old, but I know that I have a few favorite booktubers. So like I said before, I definitely love Books and B.S. I think she has a great personality. I love Kate Spivey. She's more author tube, but I think the way that she talks about things, it's clear that she's done her research. She really breaks down things in a very logical way, which I really appreciate. And I think her channel name is Susan is Reading, but I think she's just really funny. Like she just brings a clear, authentic sense of self to her channel, which I can also really appreciate. Okay, so the next person I'm gonna tag, I'll be honest, like I have 33 followers at this point, so it's not like I'm really swimming in the followers, but I would love it if Kate Spivey did this channel, because I just love her content, and you know, I think that she's such a great, incredible content creator. Yeah, so she's who I'm gonna tag in this, and then anybody else who wants to do this, you can tag yourself. I am not good with tagging other people because I always feel like someone gets left out, and I hate that feeling. So if you want to do this tag, please take this as your invitation. Go ahead and do it yourself. All right, y'all, that is it from me today. You can find me on Instagram, Goodreads, and Tumblr at Shelly Flowers. If you'd like to purchase my own book, Gwynthos from the Swamp, it is a book all about growing up in South Florida. It's also poetry, so if that's your jam, feel free to check it out. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday, sometimes on Fridays. Anyway, no big question for today. Drop down a different color heart depending on what house you are in Harry Potter, because I'm very curious to see. So my heart would be red, of course, because I'm a Gryffindor. But if you're yellow, you're Hufflepuff, green is Slytherin, and blue is Ravenclaw. So just let me know. And then if you don't partake in the Harry Potter foolishness, because, you know, I get it, it's not for everybody, just leave a little rose for Selena, because we can all use some Selena in our lives. All right, ciao, y'all.